What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a very interesting Last of Us 3 rumor. And this literally comes from the website The Leak. Never heard of it, like the name already. And it talks about how The Last of Us 3 is in the works despite what reports say. Now, I want to focus on one specific part of this article because a lot of it is kind of just summarizing what we have already, I guess, talked about in other leaks, right? The fact that although it's kind of unknown if it's going to happen and, Neil doesn't sound 100% sure, well, number one, that already occurred during The Last of Us 1 into The Last of Us 2. And number two, there's also been rumors to suggest, yes, they're actively, like right now, they're making The Last of Us 3. Now, you can believe those rumors or not believe those rumors. It's whatever you want to believe on this channel, but this article basically recaps that and then adds one extra thing into it. So here we go. How can we go against an official statement? We've been hearing rumblings of a third entry being in the works in November and the fact that the budget depends on the success of the show, but these rumors remain unsubstantiated. Druckmann has also previously stated that a storyline was written. Now, our source at Sony, who previously broke the first leak of the PS5 Slim to us, has doubled down and revealed to us that it is indeed in the works, at least according to Sony. Internally, Sony has the title slated as in progress with Naughty Dog as the developer, with the game categorized as a PS5 release with PS6 in mind. And now the article goes on to say, for those that are worried about that kind of language, it's basically saying it's going to follow what the last two did. History repeats itself, it seems like, with Naughty Dog, right? Last of Us 1 came out right at the end of the, PS3 generation. Last of Us 2 came out right at the end of the PS4 generation. Last of Us 3 would come out right at the end of the PS5 gen. And then, all of them, you have those remasters that would then, bridge the gap for the next one. Now, technically, we don't have The Last of Us Part 2, right, as a director's cut or remaster for the PS5. I do think it'll happen, and that's, again, what the article goes on to say. Basically, with the PS6 in mind, all that means is you're going to try to make it come out at the end of this PS5 gen, and then you'd have some sort of remaster thing to make it on PS6, and that's all. And honestly, again, like with the history of what Naughty Dog has done with the first two, that makes complete sense. And also, if it scares you when you say, oh my God, the end of the PS5 generation, a thing that should also scare you, right, is that it's really not all that far out. It actually makes sense if you take a couple steps back, right, and you think, all right, PS6, when would that come out? It's possible that comes out in 2027. It's possible it comes out in 2028. I think through the internal, right, like documents of Sony, I think they expect it to come out in 2028, right? So 8 years after the PS5. While we're in 2023, if it takes Naughty Dog, say, 5 years or 5.5, right, say they started a little bit earlier, and it takes them 5 years, Last of Us 3 comes out June of 2028. Now, that's a long way away, but it does make sense from a development point of view, right? It actually would work. And then if the PS6 came out 5-6 months later, Last of Us Part 3 comes out in June, PS6 comes out in November. I think that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's a long wait. And, you're doing it right at the end of the generation like you've done 2 times in the past, but it's literally that. You've done it 2 times in the past. Again, you believe whatever you want. I am not here to tell you what to believe. That's not, my goal, but I do think it's pretty likely. The person that first started the rumor, which is Viewer Anon, by the way, that, Last of Us Part 3 is actively going on, he is just an ace. He really is. He gets now he gets everything right with movies and television, right? He's an entertainment thing. He doesn't really dabble in games, but he has like a 95 to 100%, success rate. So when he says something, I tend to believe him. He's jumping into a different playing field, right? Gaming versus movies. But I've believed since he said that, which I don't know if that's what they're talking about with the November thing. I've believed they're making a Last of Us Part 3 for a while. Now it's just, putting it together. I guess one final thing. I wouldn't expect this to be Naughty Dog's next game. In fact, I think Viewer Anon said that when he said Last of Us Part 3. I do think there would be that other thing. Not the Last of Us multiplayer, right? That would happen maybe this year, maybe next year. But if it's that fantasy game, or if it's just another game altogether, I do think there's another game that would come that would bridge the gap. So I don't think we're going to get the multiplayer and we're going to have to wait 5 years or 4 years, say, from the multiplayer until Last of Us 3. I think there could be another game, say, in 2025, right? Maybe a Naughty Dog game, and then 3 years later, we get the last, something like that. I think that's how it's going to work. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.